This is Teacher Mark. Our lesson for today is all about special properties of parallelogram. So these are the terms that we need to consider. Midline theorem, the segment connecting the midpoints two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side and is half as long. So the diagonals are congruent. These are theorems in rectangles. So, if the diagonals of the quadrilateral are congruent and bisect each other, then the quadrilateral is a rectangle. So, if the slant line that connects the two opposite points of the rectangle are congruent, therefore that is rectangle. And also, if those lines that we can find in the quadrilateral are congruent and bisect each other, then that is a quadrilateral. Same as in theorem in rhombus, diagonals of rhombus form four congruent triangles. So if you have to make a line that is slanted from its opposite points, you can make a diagonal. Then after that, you can connect all the lines that form on that diagonal. So the diagonal of rhombus bisect each vertex angles. If the diagonals of the quadrilateral are perpendicular and bisect each other, then the quadrilateral is rhombus. As what I've said, rhombus has a diagonal which bisect each other. Then also it makes vertex angle. Okay. Next is if the diagonal of quadrilateral are perpendicular and bisect each other, then the quadrilateral is rhombus. So, as you can see, if the diagonals of that quadrilateral are perpendicular, when you say perpendicular, it is bisect into 90 degrees. Therefore, that is rhombus. How about what are the theorems in square? First one is the square is a rectangle with all four sides equal in length. So, all the sides of the square are equal. Okay, so all of the length. Next, the square has all properties of both rhombus and rectangle. So if you combine rhombus and rectangle, therefore that is a square. So this is an example of rectangle. I have here in the picture a rectangle A, B, C, D, wherein a parallelogram which opposite sides are equal. So when you say opposite sides are equal, line AB and line DC are equal, and line AD and line BC are also equal. In their midline theorem, as you can see, this diagonal AC where at the midpoint is M, and also in BD there's midpoint M. If there is a midpoint, therefore this line AM and this line AC are equal, and also line BM and line DM are equal. So that is one of the properties of the rectangle. So diagonals are congruent, and also if the diagonals of quadrilateral are congruent, they bisect each other, then the quadrilateral is rectangle. Okay? As you can see in the picture, this is an example of rhombus. What is rhombus? Rhombus is a parallelogram in which all sides are equal. As you can see in this part, uh, AD, CD, CB, and AB are all equal. And also it has or it have a diagonal which has a perpendicular bisector. So the perpendicular bisector here is CI, we can say CI and line AC. And also we can see that there is a midline theorem wherein I is in the middle of line DV. So, which is DI and BI are congruent because they have a midpoint of I. And also, CI is congruent to AI. It is because of midline theorem. So in this other part, as you can see, CV and AV AD and CV are all parallel, both opposites. When you say opposite sides are parallel, line CD and line BA are parallel to each other. If they are parallel and it is in rhombus, they are congruent. Also, line BC and line AD are parallel and congruent to each other because that is a rhombus. So diagonal rhombus form of four congruent triangle. Where is that triangle? First is CVI, triangle CVI. Next is triangle AIB or BAI. And then the next triangle is DIA or AID. And lastly is CID or DIC. So those are the four congruent triangle, or we can say that is a right triangle because of the square as you can see in this part. And if diagonals of a quadrilateral are perpendicular and bisect each other, then the quadrilateral is rhombus. Okay, so those are the properties of rhombus. Next. So diagonals of rhombus form a four right congruent. So it's repeated. And the diagonals of rhombus are perpendicular. As I said a while ago, those are the perpendicular bisector, which is BI or AC. This is a picture of figure 3, which has an example of square. So square. So a parallelogram which all sides angles are equal. So the square is a rectangle with all four sides are equal in length. So line AC and line DV. So all as you can see, the rhombus and the rectangular properties has a both in square. Okay, what do you call about that? If they have the properties of both rhombus and rectangle, they are equally shared. Therefore, that is square. As you can see, a parallelogram in which all sides and angles are equal. Trivia. Square is a perfect quadrilateral because of its finest side and also finest angles. All angles of the triangle of the square are 90 degrees, as you can see on this figure. And all sides of it are equal and parallel to each other. So some people or some mathematician call square is a perfect quadrilateral. Okay? These are the solving of angles and side of the rhombus, square, and parallelogram. I will show it to you when we have our live teaching. Okay? Try to answer this by using of one of the method. Okay, for that, thank you, grade 9, hoping that you learn something from the properties of the three special parallelogram. Goodbye and keep safe.